Good day, good afternoon, good night. How you doing? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Today we are going to have a serious conversation. Well, maybe not a serious conversation, but there's going to be a serious talk happening here. Now, of course, I'm only doing the talking, but just stay tuned. Hey, how you doing? This is MCM and you are listening to You're Probably Right. You're welcome at my house anytime. And I just wanted to welcome those who may be listening for the first time. We're happy to have you. And for everybody who is listening all across the planet, I really appreciate it. From such places that I'm shocked, to tell you the truth, that are listening just all over. I want to, let's see where my audience is listening from. I'm going to name them. I've done it a few times before. I'll start from the bottom, then I'll go to the top. From the Ivory Coast, the Philippines, Romania, Israel, Jamaica, Argentina, Newmarket, Denmark, Netherlands, but I guess Newmarket, Rwanda, France, Australia, Brazil, or as my son would say, Brazil, the United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, and the United States. And I really appreciate it. This thing's bugging my ears again. So let me just... The problem is this computer, it buffers. So I'll be speaking through the microphone and trying to hear myself at the same time, but there's like this lag, this latency that throws off my speech. So most of the time I end up having just to take it off my ears altogether, which I think I'm going to be doing this time, which probably just be better for me. Okay, so let's see. So if I sound a little bit off, guys, it's just because I blame the technical support person. I guess that would be myself. Okay, so anyhow, today we wanted to talk about is support staff in schools. All the other staffers that are not technically teachers. I wanted to talk about them today. As I usually do, I try not to I always say this, and this is what I call it, but I try not to timestamp my podcast. So then if something happens to be going on at this present time surrounding a topic that I speak about, I try not to make it so stuck on that particular time and place, so that whatever I say can hopefully be relevant for the coming years and years and years, long after I'm gone. But I mean, time will tell, right? Okay, so the question, or the main question today, would be, and I'm going to type it down. Actually, I'll put it down. Are support staff important, or are they add-on or expendable? What do you think? Are support staff important, or are they an add-on, or are they expendable? Now, some would probably say yes, they're expendable because they're not required to have certain qualifications as a teacher. Like a teacher in, say, Ontario, Canada, has to go to teachers college to teach in the schools. And I'm talking about elementary and high school. But most still do go through formal learning to do the jobs that they do. And some have education as high or higher than teachers. Teachers generally have a BA in something, and most try to get a master's, and then they go to teachers college. Or some get a BA, and then I think they can still get into teachers college, depending on what you took. Okay, so, but really the main title would be Education Support Staff Need to be Respected by the Government and Unions alike. In this episode of You're Probably Right, we explore the relationship between education, support staff, and unions. We discuss the problems with how unions operate and how they often don't respect their members. The Canadian Union of Public Employees do not feel valued. That's the reality of the thing. Staff feel overworked and underpaid. The unions do very little in conflict resolutions, and often staff feel like they're alone in negotiations or discipline proceedings. Unions often work as though they are in cahoots with the board, often leaving in the same car for meetings, as I've heard many times from staff who've been in various union meetings with the board. Average compensation for support staff is $25 per hour, while teachers' average pay is above $70,000 per year. Support staff who work for over 10 years can easily be paid the same as new staff just coming in from college or university, or even from high school sometimes. Unlike the proper incremental pay raises of the teachers, support staff do not have this luxury. Educational assistants are a vital part of the education system, providing support to teachers and students alike. The government needs to pay them properly in order to attract and retain the best employees, like in any market or any business. You pay people properly so they can stick around. Supply and demand. And good workers should always be considered a necessity in any business. Currently, many educational assistants are paid minimum wage or just above, which is not a livable wage in most areas, especially a place like Ontario, Canada. And Vancouver, of course. Or British Columbia, I should say. This means that they are struggling to make ends meet, which can impact their work performance, their home life. Some people are working to take care of other people's children, and then they have to go home for 2 seconds or not even go home and off to another job to maybe 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night to barely see their own kids. Additionally, low salaries make it difficult to attract and retain good educational assistants, leading to increased turnover rates and higher costs for school districts. By paying educational assistants a fair wage, and of course other workers as well, governments can improve the quality of education while also saving money in the long run. So, what I was saying earlier about, say, unions is the unions, I've worked in schools in that capacity before in 4 different school boards in Ontario. So I believe I am qualified to say, as much as anybody else, and maybe not anybody else, but as much as the average other person who's worked for as many boards as I have, that a lot of time if you have to deal with the union because of, say, absence or sick leave or disciplinary issues or just, adult issues, in a particular school or office, you find that when you get the union support because you pay your union dues, that it doesn't always feel, and in most times for most people that I've spoken to and from the situations that I've seen personally, it doesn't always feel that the union is actually on the worker's side. And it's not right because we pay into it. It's not like it's something they're just giving us. And there seems to be some negotiation that tends to happen on the side. So sometimes even when you hear about the union fighting for things for their employees, it sometimes feels like if there's some stuff happening behind closed doors that have nothing to do with the employees. There are over 130,000 workers who work for QP in Canada, and I think I can't remember what the numbers are just in Ontario alone, but it's a high number as well. I think it's 55 to 60,000. According to recent studies, school support staff are not paid properly. It's just a fact. And sometimes people wonder, like, well, what is support staff? Is it just the people that work with the autistic kids and that's it? It's like, no. So I'm going to ring off a few things that let you know exactly what the other people besides the teachers do in the schools. And this is something not from Ontario, but if I need to, I will make, I guess, adjustments to what I'm reading here to make it apply. And if I don't say anything, then yes, these are people who work at schools or for schools. Okay, so you have the administrative roles. Those roles are not involved with direct student learning. However, they manage an effective running of the school, in other words. So that would be like, say, your principals and vice principals and your office staff. I would assume they're speaking of here. Facilities. These people help create a safe environment for children to learn. They can be cleaners, caretakers, or caretaking staff. Support or student support. These roles can take place inside and outside of school. They are there to help children and parents with any issues they have. Specialist, technical staff. These roles can take place in the classroom and are there more technical support, therefore when more technical support is needed for computers and devices and the various things. And even as we've been lately using Zoom and Teams and Google Meets and stuff like that they help support with stuff like that are important as the age becomes more technologically advanced and AI has come into play in coding and all these various more technical things that teachers don't even have the expertise on. These people support and help the school run smoothly, and teaching and lessons. Teaching and learning support. These are roles that involve working in classrooms, either as the main teacher or as an assisting them. And that's where an educational assistant would come in. Administrative roles of support staff in schools. These roles don't often include teaching, however, they do interact with students on a daily basis. So you have technicians. Responsibilities include monitoring all IT software within the school and being hands-on to help solve problems with students, computers and devices, teachers, computers and devices, and so many things that happen around the school that go on behind the scenes that people don't even think of or know. Exam officers are also referred to as invigilators, monitoring and any examinations. And sometimes they actually have people who monitor exams or give out large-scale exams that have nothing to do with the school itself, but they do actually collect and, I guess, put down the marks and whatever to keep things even across the board throughout the whole province. Attendance officers monitoring all attendance with the school And, it also includes attendance counselors, I guess you could call them here, addressing any children who are showing low attendance and making contact with the schools and the parents and the family or the guardians or whoever are dealing with the children at home, and making sure everything is right. Sometimes having interviews and counseling sessions to find out what's going on and to help the families. You have site managers or caretakers dealing with any maintenance issues. You have health and safety managers making sure the school is safe for children by ensuring correct plans and legislation that are in line with health and safety requirements. Roles and responsibilities of support staff that don't involve teaching. There's lunch break supervision that a lot of EAs and CYWs and CYCs have to deal with students, along with ECEs and other support staff, serving children, monitoring them during their breaks, lunchtime, to ensure there is no problem. Understanding that there are many support staff who monitor children who have behavioral issues or children living with autism, but sometimes in small groups or on an individual basis, whereas teachers who also do non-structured time supervision don't always have the ability to deal with huge amounts of students at the same time. And we all know and remember our own childhoods where, what are you going to do if you're watching 25 to 50 kids and one kid decides to run across the street? That's usually when the support staff comes in. And that's why schools do not run with just teachers. It's just impossible in this day and age. It's not like a schoolhouse anymore. Some of these schools, like elementary schools, can have up to 800 plus students in them, and high schools can have anywhere from 1,000 to 2,500 in some cases. That's a lot of students. You need a big staff to deal with it. So there's all kinds of supports. There's counselors dealing with children who have emotional problems, life issues. They're qualified to do so. So you have social workers in the schools, guidance counselors, but guidance counselors generally are also teachers. There's a lot, and social workers are different. You have career advisors, ones that come in to deal with students for their future, talking to them and letting them know what type of, I think here would be pathways, where they'd be showing the students what classes or what directions, depending on what careers that they are suited for, what things they, alongside with guidance counselors who will try to guide and direct students in the proper areas of education that they need to get into certain colleges or universities or trade schools even. So understanding that school staff does so much. And I know I've read a lot because I just wanted to stay on point with most of the stuff. But there's support staff that help with coaching, with teaching in gyms, of course, sometimes even in music or drama classes, groups, teams. Of course, there's language specialists. There's people who work with I don't want to say it because there's interveners for those who have sight or hearing in different issues. Teaching support staff can also be on hand in any lesson to offer support in dealing with specific tasks set by the teacher in their classroom. They can also help individuals with special needs. Each class or group for core subjects should have obviously an assigned teacher, but at the same time, support staff can help, sometimes even guiding the class through certain parts of the learning that the teacher may not fully understand. Of course, the teacher is liable for everything, so the greater onus is on the teacher, of course, to manage their classroom. But a lot of the time, depending on which classroom you go, if you walked into a classroom, sometimes you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the teacher and the support staff. Now, of course, because it is a hierarchical system, there are many teachers who force that role, that narrative as them as the class teacher, so you'll definitely know. And many teachers don't even want support staff in their classrooms. And if you see some classrooms with support staff in it, with teachers that are not very happy to have them in there, even if they do have students that definitely need one-to-one support, a lot of those support staffs who work with special needs children are a lot of time pushed to the side or put in little corners of the classroom, or set to go and work with the students that are part of a classroom off into another part of the building, so that the teacher can have more private teaching with the classroom. Now, of course, this really shouldn't happen unless it's like really, really necessary that a student is off to the side, one-on-one support. But sometimes classes aren't very integrated for whatever reason. As said before, support staff generally are paid per hour. The average pay of a support staff is about $25 per hour, while teachers are paid on average $70,000 a year. Teachers are paid throughout the summer and usually are given some type of summer allowance kind of thing of a few thousand, maybe $8,000 to $9,000 to $10,000 for the 2 summer months. Whereas support staff have to fend for themselves, find another job, or they, as most do, claim EI, which generally gives them about 50 to 60% of their pay. And that's for extended layoffs such as summer holidays, Christmas or winter holidays, and spring break, which is a week there. So there's usually 2 months of summer. Christmas is usually around 2 weeks, and spring break around, a week. The average support staff have college diplomas, while many have university education and degrees. Many are single parents who were doing other things before, and then they realized that they would be best, or their children would be best served if they worked along the school year. Some are waiting for the opportunity for their kids to get a little bit older so they can go ahead and maybe become teachers or do other things. But many of these support staff are single parents, mothers and fathers, who are working sometimes 2 jobs, which isn't really nice, knowing that, again, you're working to help to teach other people's children, knowing that when work is done at, say, 3:30 to 4:30, that you have to run to your other job for 5 to maybe 10 or 9 or 11. So anybody who's worked at a school knows that support staff are very vital. A society's future is only as strong as their youth. Someone has to work when the older generation retires or passes away. Raising knowledgeable, hardworking, well-adjusted people, well, it begins with our formative years. It begins at home, of course, and it also is supported by the people who deal with your children. at schools from the very young age of 4 all the way up to for some students 21, but the average maybe 17 or 18. Most of us can still remember an adult, not necessarily a teacher or a coach, maybe a librarian or an office person, who were very instrumental in either hurting your life or helping your life. Most of us can remember a bad teacher we had. And most of those teachers may not necessarily have been bad. They might have just been overworked in the old days when they didn't necessarily have support staff. But many of us can also remember the positive times when we came into contact with somebody who just ran a group for us, or ran maybe a club for us, or a parent even that was helping out at school, or a support staff who coached a team or ran a group, or whatever it was. Understanding that what happens at schools are very important, and it's the little things that we need to pay attention to. It's not necessarily the big, huge things that happen. It wasn't necessarily learning how to do graphs or shading in art, or necessarily playing a sport. It might have just been a little thing. Like, I think one of my best coaches that I had was actually an English teacher who was also stepping in as a coach, and he coached our team, and he was a horrible coach. But I remember the one thing I can say is that he actually taught me how to shoot a basketball properly. It wasn't his teaching. I don't remember one thing he taught me in my English class, although he was my grade 10 English teacher. But I do remember him showing me how to play basketball, and in some facets of the game. But it was just the one thing. I remember him visually in my mind's eye, remembering him showing me how to set the ball in my hand and how it rolls up from my mid. And, it was that kind of stuff. And I know that nowadays, a lot of the time, like even when I was working as support staff, that I would be teaching students some of the same things. Support staff have families, responsibilities, like every other adult in society. Too often, support staff are treated like they are children or just passing through the school system, when most work within the school board for the better part of most of their careers. And it is a career. Just because most support staff don't go through teachers college, and some do, some of the higher professionals, I would say, that are in the school system remember their times just out of college when they were teach assistants or educational assistants, and they moved on from there. But not everybody's going to move on from there. Some actually like that part of the education that they can help and support with. The government should take steps to make sure these people are paid properly. These people should be paid throughout the summer. Working with students, many with special needs and all kinds of troubled students or issues, working in the support staff part of the job is very stressful, like teaching is. And yes, we have good years and bad years. We take the good with the bad. We have difficult, tough, and fun, very rewarding years as well. Some of these people will be the people who will give a child a brand new pair of gloves, or would stay and cook for different events, or they might even help with breakfast clubs and all kinds of stuff. Not saying that teachers don't, mind you, but a lot of the time support staff works hand in hand with the teachers doing many of these things. I believe that we need to stand with support staff, caretakers who are cleaning washrooms, and as an adult, the nonsense that can go on in washrooms. These are people who are cleaning them. Throughout the summer, they clean these facilities. They make sure that outside is safe. Many times, caretakers have to be extra watchdogs outside, even knowing when there's strangers. And in this day and age, with all the crazy shootings and people entering buildings that have no business being there, sometimes caretakers have to double as security guards at schools. They're caretaking. They're not only just cleaning up pee and poo, they are doing other things that are necessary for the staff and the students. So I believe that we need to stand up and make sure that these people are taken care of properly. They are hard-working people in our society that hold a vital, important role for now and for the future. Education, support staff need to be respected by governments and unions alike. So hopefully you hear this short message. As I said, I know that I read a lot of this podcast, but it was stuff that I put down. So in general, it wasn't just random stuff. So hopefully I packed a lot into this short time. As I said, I worked as an EA in 4 different boards, with a few other positions jammed in there as well. And I can honestly tell you, as a male in schools, which are not very common, there are obviously male teachers, but as support staff, not that many. And a lot of support staff are from Black culture, from say BIPOC. They help, and they have different expertise in the communities that do help students from those communities as well. Sometimes there's parents, of course, that catch on with some of the boards and they help out. And I just think that if schools or school boards, government respected the job of the support staff, that yes, they would be able to retain people as support staff. People wouldn't always be looking to use these positions to step off and step away, but they would actually stay in these positions and hone their skills if they were afforded a living proper wage. I know that some people in years, maybe they have by now, who knows, but they've been fighting for prep times. Some support staff do need prep times because, you don't just magically know how to do algebra, or you don't, even if you went through it, and I'm just speaking to people who are regular functioning adults who do regular adult jobs, you may not remember how to do your child's homework after the 5th grade. Are you smarter than a 5th grader? You can remember the stuff that maybe you even struggled with. There's somebody who has to go through the motions with your child maybe, and it might not be the teacher, because the teacher has to stay with the greater, bigger population in the classroom. You got to hope that the support staff are getting the opportunity within their work hours to maybe bone up or brush up on some of their whatever skills, so that they can impart that knowledge to your students, to your children. Anyhow, this has been a short episode of You're Probably Right. And I just wanted you to really think about it. Whatever the climate is in society right now, understand that those who work at schools, people who are like caretakers educational assistants, child and youth workers, child and youth counselors, early childhood educators, and the list goes on. Office administrators, office assistants, they do need your support. Don't think that, I'm not going to help more people lounge around in the summertime. Why do these people not deserve a break from what the teachers get? I mean, the teachers get a break. They get to totally decompress from the stressful year, jam-packed year of learning. And maybe that would be the argument. They just figure that people should have to work all year round. Well, some support staff do. Many support staff do actually work at summer school during the summer as well. But a lot of the time, the best staff doesn't, because the boards have not made it very lucrative. And just like you, everybody wants to be paid properly. And everybody needs a break as well. Anyhow, I probably didn't present this argument very well, because it's not really an argument. It's just, I just wanted to maybe come on here and, talk up the positions of support staff at elementary and secondary levels. Just to let you know that they're not just teachers at schools teaching your kids. And maybe some of you are not very familiar with that, because maybe your kids were very smart, or very maybe you had a lot of time helping them when they were small reading and they did well. But for those of you who know what it is to have support staff helping your child to succeed and to get through school okay, and to surpass maybe what you thought would be possible for your child. And all I'm saying is, when you do have a conversation with somebody about support staff, or you hear the word QP, don't let it be a bad name or a bad acronym on the tip of your tongue because of what you hear in the news. I realize that a lot of time QP and the Minister of Education seem to be at odds for this reason or that reason, or you're concerning yourself or they're concerning themselves with, should it be 1% raise or 2% raise over 2 years, or do they need more money because the cost of living has gone up, or better benefits, or whatever it is, knowing that even the benefits are different between teachers and support staff. I mean, even that, the pay is not the same, but why aren't the benefits the same? We're in some ways just teaching and supporting this hierarchical system, whereas, a teacher is a teacher, so we will pay fully for their dentures or their braces for their kids, but support staff who get paid less, we won't do the same for them. We'll give them a lower tier. It's like, why are we supporting this hierarchical system in our education system? Okay, maybe teachers should get paid more because they are legally responsible if something goes left in a classroom. But how much more? Why should support staff not be salaried as well? Why is the average pay only $25, which is only $10 above the minimum wage per hour in Ontario? And many get a lot less. Some get between $18 and $22 per hour. And these people are educating and working with and around our children. aren't these people important? You know, I look back on my daughter's career as a student, and she was a pretty good student as it turned out. But you know, and these people are paid pretty well, although they do come and go as well out of the system because they can get paid elsewhere. But the person that I remember helping my child the most was a social worker. Or actually, no, a psychologist. Sorry, not a social worker. And if it wasn't for that psychologist, who knows would have been the end. By the time my daughter got to high school, she was very successful. And it was in large part of the help she got from the psych team at the school board that she was attending. Anyhow, I just wanted to say my two piece. So maybe you'll hear this now or you'll hear this in the future. Just understand that the whole staff at schools are very well needed and important. Anyhow, this has been another episode of You're Probably Right. Remember, what has been said is all entertainment. It's just entertainment. Research and do your homework, people. Find the facts for yourself. I don't profess to be a professor of any kind. And this is MCM, and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Take care. Hey, come check out You're Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 dogs. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.